Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Excel Radio's Ask the Expert. Brought to you by Beck Shot Photography and Video. It's your story. Make it awesome. For more information, go to beckshot.com. Now, here's your host.
Good morning, everybody, and boy, do we have a fun one for you today. Yeah. Hi, Stone. Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
It's a gorgeous day, and this room is full of, what do we say, rifles, knives, testosterone, warrior spirit.
High impact.
Robert, introduce our guest today.
Kham, owner of Lanxang Tactical Rifles. I shoot his rifles, and they are the best gas guns on the market. Makes a bad shooter like me better. And Edgar, he's got OSS, Osprey Shooting Solutions. I shoot with Edgar and not very well, so I'm usually getting yelled at by Edgar in different languages, so it works well. But both of these guys, high-energy guys, very successful at what they do. Super proud to have them both on the air today.
Well, I guess the first question up then for both of you guys is, you teach Robert and make him better with his gear? How does that work out?
Allegedly. I just provide the gears.
Yeah. The best guns.
So let's start with Kham. Tell us about Lanxang, about what you guys do, what you build. Tell me about your company and what you've got going on.
It's in Laos, it's pronounced Lanxang.
Lanxang.
Yeah. So Lanxang sounds more Chinese.
We wouldn't want that.
We're an AR platform gas rifle manufacturer right outside of Atlanta. Robert's one of our customers. And we have the CAT SWAT teams and a few of the SWAT teams in the metro area that carries our rifle.
I guess you've got a broad variety of calibers all built on the AR system?
Yes, anything from 5.56, 223 up to 260, 7.62s, 6.5 Creed, 300 blackouts.
So you got the sexy ones too?
That we do.
Yeah.
And of course we have the CAS 22, which is a DMR, 18-inch barrel. 5.56. That is so far, I think it's been tested out in Texas and has been reaching out and touching somebody at about 1,400 yards with a 5.56.
That works. So how long have you been there? Where are you located?
We're right outside of Conyers.
Okay. And how long have you been in business?
Machine shop's 24 years. Rifle side, 7 years.
7 years.
Yep.
And you guys have won some competitions, I hear.
That we did.
Yeah, some of your rifles.
Yeah, I believe it's 2017.
Mammoth?
No, it's the 2017 was on the History Channel, the U.S. Army International Sniper Comp. The 375 Ranger team that took our rifle to the competition. They took down first place that year.
Now, how'd you get into this business? Are you military background yourself? Or?
No.
Nope. No. So what drew you to this?
I owned a machine shop for 24 years, and we're good at making parts. And we figure, well, hey, we can build a better rifle or produce a better rifle than what's out there just by controlling the quality and the fit and finish of the parts we put in it.
So if I said I was looking at buying an AR pattern rifle and I was thinking about a Wyndham, what would you say? How do you differentiate yourself from somebody like that? We're not even going to talk about the Bushmasters and stuff.
Well, hey, it all depends on your budget and what you're looking for. You can take a Wyndham out there, you can potentially hit a target with it, but that's not who we're trying to emulate. Mm-hmm. The AR platform's been around for generations, and we just want to build something better. Kind of improve on what's out there already.
Okay. Edgar.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your school and what you guys do.
Okay. So I own Osprey Shooting Solutions and Southern Ornithological League. So it may seem weird that I have a bird watching website.
Birds.
However, that's just the cover page. Anyway, yep. I retired in 2020.
Retired from?
After 25 years in the Army.
Okay.
Yep. Retired in 2020.
Army.
But I started Osprey Shooting Solutions in 2017 in Colorado. It was my side hustle. I knew what I wanted to do when I retired. So my son was my number one guy, and we started doing it sort of part time out of other ranges, like indoor ranges around, and Pikes Peak Pikes Peak Gun Club. We did a lot of courses out of there, stuff like that. Wasn't sure if we were going to move back to Georgia or stay in Colorado. Anyway, the decision was made. We moved back to Georgia in 2020. November, I think, is when we got here and got our house. By May of 21, I think I had my range built. It's a small range. It's the starter range. Yeah. And we've been going on that one since then. But now it's time to grow a little bit. So we're actively looking for a bigger spot, bigger land to build a 20-acre proper range complex. And then Southern Ornithological League is my little, I want to say a pet project, but it's everything other than firearms training. We do land nav. I got a long range evasion course. We just this weekend finished up with a search and rescue mountaineer course. We got a couple other little, maybe lock picking course and some other stuff like that.
Some hands-on stuff.
It's a more select crowd. Everybody who's a member of the Southern Ornithological League is someone I know. I know them personally or have trained with them, and we know, know their background and stuff like that.
So you have a varied and wide range of capabilities on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I had that luxury of learning a lot of weird stuff in my career. So a lot of it is transferable to civilian life.
Yeah.
Just if not for fun, but practical skill.
Pursuit driving?
Yep. Awesome. Yep. Done some good driving stuff. I don't do that. I mean,
sounds like the only thing you don't do is, speedboats, assault craft.
Well, there's a boat in the works, man.
If only you knew somebody that could do that.
Yeah, we know somebody that could do that for you.
We're looking for a 16-foot rubber boat right now.
Cool. So, tell me about the range. What kind of capability do you have?
No,
right now?
it's minimal, man. It's small. It's probably about, we can reach out to about 70 yards, but all the courses I teach, most of the courses I teach are action oriented, like USPSA or IDPA type stuff, or tactical, if you will. Focus is more on gun handling and stuff. So the range is about 35 yards, and everything is kind of within that. A lot of moving and shooting and that kind of thing. But I also do new shooters and private lessons.
You have moving targets, automation,
I
things
do.
like
No.
that?
Oh, man. No way. I'm not even close to that yet. That's some high dollar stuff right there. But you don't need that, man. The skill, it's not the gun, right? You could have the most awesome rifle, but if you can't shoot it. So I stress fundamentals in everything we do. I don't even call any of my courses advanced or basic. I call them practical and dynamic, because there's not really anything such thing as advanced shooting. It's just application of fundamentals. So that's what we stress out there. Yep. And comfort, realism as far as the way you carry your gun. Most of the guys that come out aren't all kitted up and stuff. Now, I do train cops, and I still train military and law enforcement, like traveling. But I'm getting real tired of traveling.
Yeah. One of my friends was a recon Marine. He used to travel for Colt, and but he enjoyed the traveling. He wouldn't let him fly him anywhere because he wanted to drive, and so he'd load up this Suburban with all the stuff that he had to do for those courses, and he'd take 5 days to get somewhere and just enjoy the trip and see everything he wanted to see on the way. Yeah, for him, that was a good lifestyle, but I guess that's not for everybody.
No, the last trip we did, my partner and me drove to El Paso and back. And that was it. Everything.
One of the worst drives you can make.
We're flying
17, 18 hours.
Oh, it was horrible.
Just
man.
never changes.
From San Antonio to El Paso, that's like a half the trip, and there's nothing there.
Once you get to Texas, you feel like now, like you've only driven about 1/8 of the way.
That's right. Well, because you have.
It's crazy, but we both feel like we're hard guys, bro. We were broke down on that one. We both looked at each other and like, never again.
Was it summer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so man. You had the heat too.
Yeah. And El Paso in the summer, about
Fort Davis, El Paso, that area in the summer.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Robert, you've taken some courses. You used Lanxang rifles.
Yep.
And you've taken some courses from Edgar, yeah?
Yeah. So the benefit for me using Lanxang's rifle, I'll butcher that if I try to say it the way Cam just said.
You call it Big L if you want.
Just Lanxang, dang it. The beauty of
every person I've heard say it until today has said it that way.
Right. It's just the way it sounds. It's the way it looks.
What do we know, right? We don't
know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So the beauty about shooting the Light 42 from Lanxang on some of Edgar's practical shooting classes is the dang rifle just shoots so flat, and it's so easy to pull that trigger, and that there's not a lot of movement because it's made so well. And the thing that Edgar is so passionate about is small targets. You know, you got to focus in and you got to shoot at something really small, and you've got to be wired in. And golly, I've been yelled at so many times by Edgar. I mean, I go home.
That's
and
a lot. I don't yell at him.
My wife is just like, well, you know, how many times did Edgar slap you? And I'm like, half a dozen. God, it's getting embarrassing.
But he deserves it so well.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Last summer we were out there, Edgar, and it was about 107, and it's a gravel pit where his shooting range is, and we weren't stopping for water, and you know we all think we're hard guys, right? And so Edgar's not going to stop and drink some water. I'm not going to stop and drink any water because that's just how dumb I am. And at one juncture, I said to Edgar, I'm going to fall out, Edgar, if I don't drink some water. And Edgar's like, yeah, me too. I was like, well, what the hell are we waiting for? By then it was way too late, man. I just lost the plot. I couldn't even shoot the Lanxang rifle well after that. So
was that a match? Was that like a competition or was that a course?
It was a course.
Yeah, it was like that 2-gun course or something.
And Squatch smacked me in the head. Yeah. He's like, dude, pay attention, man.
Hydrate plentifully and often.
Water's garbage.
Yeah, it is.
Water's for the weak.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. But we were both going for our coolers.
Water is your friend. Water gets you where you're going to go. It provides cover and concealment. Yeah. Water removes you from the tactical environment. Water's great.
Oh, man.
Of course, I'm talking about a different kind of water.
Yeah. So, Cam, you've got just an extraordinary backstory coming from Asia. Why don't you get in a little bit of that on how it was coming to America, what prompted all of that? And I mean, you want to be an entrepreneur, and you're a successful businessman. Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Well, how much time we got?
We got some time.
I mean, I'm just like any other immigrants to the U.S., from the 70s and 80s. We're the byproduct of the Communist War. Ever since I can remember, as a kid, every 3, 4, 5 months, we would have to leave the village in the middle of the night because my dad's like, hey, I was in town today and somebody's asking about me. That's way too close. We got to go. So ever since I was, as far as I can remember, up until I was 6 years old, that's when my dad said, I had enough. We can get out. So we tried to escape into Thailand. At 6 years old, we got in the boat and we're just paddling along the Mekong, pretending like, hey, we're just going upriver. And then as we go up, he keeps going further and further towards the middle. Of course, the Border Patrol kind of figure out what's going on and start shooting at us. So at 6 years old, I was grazed with a AK, bleeding in the bottom of the boat. But they didn't stop shooting until we get probably halfway across the Mekong River, and the Thai Border Patrol started shooting back. Then that's when the commies stopped shooting at us. So
they wound up with somebody better to engage at that point.
Yeah. Well, they on the Thai side they had ARs. So
yeah.
For 2 years we were stuck in a shithole refugee camp in Thailand. Buying our time, waiting for our names to be called. If we chose to go to France, Australia, or anywhere else, we've been out at refugee camp within 6 months. But my dad wanted to come to the U.S., so we waited 2 years.
Wow.
So we finally made it to the U.S. in 1980. And what I keep telling everybody, I was like, well, you know what? If I can make it in this life, anybody can. Because the first English teacher I ever had was watching Scooby-Doo and Bugs Bunny. So those were my English teacher in a refugee camp. So coming to the U.S., pretty much didn't know a lick of English. You know, what you learned from Scooby-Doo wasn't it.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, and we were here since 1980. October 1980. I didn't know what Halloween is. And, you know, a bunch of kids come knocking on the door like, what
dressed up as ghouls and goblins.
Yeah. What's this?
What kind of nightmare is this?
Where did you guys land when you got here?
We were sponsored by a Catholic church. That's the only way that we were at any refugee were able to come to the U.S. We would have to be sponsored and get assimilated into U.S. culture and society by these church groups. So our family was sponsored by a Catholic church in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Culture shock.
I bet it was.
Started out second grade, don't know a lick of English, and I'm looking around. Who are these people? You know, and then, you know, about 82, we moved down in Georgia, and we've been here ever since.
The whole family came?
Yeah. We moved down here just because my dad couldn't find a job in Iowa. One, because he didn't speak English. You know, he would take me to job interviews, and at 8 years old, I was the translator. So they look at him a little weird. It's like, why is this kid talking for you?
And what did your dad do?
Well, when we moved down here, he found a job as doing landscaping work and working nursery farms and, you know, pretty much manual labor. And, you know, he was able to feed the family, and, you know, he was too proud to take handouts, you know, the welfare, food stamp. He's like, no, we didn't come all the way to America for that. So he took 2 jobs. He worked, you know, during the day he worked nursery farm, landscaping. At the night he works at a brick plant. So 2 jobs. Within 2 years we moved to Georgia. He was able to buy us a house. You know, and the first house he ever bought was in Jonesboro, Georgia, in the hood, but it was a house.
Yeah.
So,
And you became a machinist. What drew you to that? How'd that go?
Well, I was working at machine shops since I was 12. You know, back then CNC machines didn't have the auger, didn't have everything else to push automated chips out of the back of the machines. I was only one small enough, skinny enough that when they shut the machine down, I can crawl in the back, scoop all the chips out, clean everything out, then they start machines again. Wow. That was my job. I was sweeping floors and clean out the metal chips in the machines. And ever since 12, I've been off and on, working machine shops, landscaping. That's all I knew. That's what I grew up with.
Now, you said about 7 years ago, you decided you could make a better rifle.
Yeah.
How? Why? Like what drove you to that?
Yeah, well, throughout the years, I owned different rifles and different pistols, and there was just something didn't like about the feel, the fit, and the finish. And of course, you know, cousin Ponce works at the shop with me. He's a Navy man.
Uh-oh.
Good for him. All the best people are.
But, you know, he's
sorry, Edgar.
We always talked about it, and like, well, you know what? Let's see if we can get our FFL, and we can make the parts and put it together and just do some testings. And that's when Travis came on board. Travis was introduced to me by Christian Stevens.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so Stevens an airborne ranger, and of course Travis is the 375 guy. So brought Travis on board, and I was like, hey, I want to build some rifles, but I don't want a Colt. I don't want a Anderson. I want to build something better. So pick Travis' brain and say, hey, when you were out there in the desert, if you could have access to any rifle that you ever wanted, if you can build your own versus what the government gave you, what would you want? So we built everything around that. And, you know, and of course the 375 down in Benning did some of the testing for us, and government ammo or taxpayer ammo. Right. So we spent a year.
That's an important distinction. I like the way you said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, taxpayer.
So we spent about a year in R&D and testing, and until we The prototype 7.62 was taken up to USASOC, and the guys that took the rifle up there for the competition, first time they ever compete, taking a prototype rifle up there. We didn't know how well it would do, but they came away taking third place. We're like, okay, maybe our rifle's almost there. It's getting there, and then that's how I got started.
Awesome. Edgar, your career is interesting. Tell us about where you're from and what you're about.
All right. The short story on I was just wild and crazy youth. That's it. I was in trouble a little bit. No siblings or anything, so I just kind of ran and did my own thing. I wanted to join the Army. I knew I was going to join the Army because I was kind of like a G.I. Joe kid. You know what I mean? Like playing war and all that stuff as a youth. I went in the Army when I was a teenager out of high school. So I'm colorblind. A lot of people don't know. And that precludes you, as you know, from doing a lot of stuff in the military. Mm-hmm. So my first job in the military, I'm not even going to tell you what it was, but it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Wasn't what you wanted?
Which was I wanted to be an infantryman.
Interestingly enough, my first job in the Navy wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So at MEPS, when I got the bad news, I'm like, hey man, you can't, here's your options. I took the shortest enlistment term. At that time, it was 2 years and 20 weeks. The 20 weeks was basic and AIT and then 2-year tour. So I took that. I got out because it was nothing like I thought the Army was going to be. It was horrible. But the good news is I was in Nuremberg, Germany. So, it was bearable because Germany's fun.
Good beer.
Yeah. Just good times all over. But I got out. I was out for 3 or 4 years. During that time, I was just a bouncer and a bicycle messenger in Atlanta, and that was it. Carefree lifestyle. And then I got my wife pregnant. So now I had to start making big boy decisions. So I went back in the Army. This time I was smarter, knew my way around the system a little better. So anyway, I was an infantryman. Had some trouble with the security clearance, so I had a Ranger Battalion contract and didn't get that because you got to have clearance. Ended up going 82nd. Spent almost 9 years in 82nd. Went to my first deployment. I got my security clearance while I was deployed. Like all the admin stuff was still happening in the background. I came back to my security clearance being approved. Within a month of being back from Afghanistan on my first trip, I was in the Q course. So that was it after that. And then 16 plus years in SF with 10th group.
Now, not everybody that's going to hear this knows what all this means. So 82nd
Airborne Division. Yeah. That's
smoke jumpers with guns.
Yeah. Alcoholics Anonymous, AA.
There you go.
Also known as All-American, but it's a massive division. Yeah. 3 brigades of parachute, troopers.
And the Army, by the way, they administer airborne training for all the services. Army owns parachuting. So like Ranger goes to Army Jump School. 82nd goes to Army Jump School. SEALs go to Army Jump School.
Now these days,
Special Boat Units go to Army Jump School.
Yeah. These days, that's a little different. I think the Navy now has a jump school.
That would be after my
SEALs.
time.
Yeah.
That would be, well, they have advanced training for them, but as far as qualifying them initially,
yeah, I think
at least in my day, everybody went to Bragg.
I think one of my buddies who's a SEAL, I think the Navy ended up getting their own static line. Because one, it's unpleasant. It's not that the school's hard and unbearable and all that. You got to run a lot, and they're sending hundreds of people through school week after, and it's a 2-week school or 3-week school. It's just constantly churning.
So much has changed. When I was there, the Special Boat Units was one of the places I was at. That was an add-on to the SEAL teams.
Right.
Those are teams themselves. Now they're full career path by themselves nowadays, and it wasn't that way then.
Yep.
And then SF, when you say SF, that's Special Forces.
Yeah,
which
Special
is
Forces.
Green Berets.
Green Berets, yeah. So I had an uncle. I never met him, but in my household coming up, I was born in 1972. He was killed in 1967. However, you can imagine growing up, like they had this big, giant picture of him up on the wall, and he was wearing his Green Beret, and he had his aviator sunglasses on. And it was one of the things that I just looked up when I was a kid and was like, oh, I want to be that dude. And fortunately, his name was James Gordon Williams, Jimmy Williams. Fortunately, he liked to take pictures. So he did 2.5 tours in Vietnam. And he would always take pictures. And back in the old days, they made slideshows, like the little carousel things. And when I was a kid, man, I would just sit and look through just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of him and his team in Vietnam doing Vietnam stuff.
Yeah.
And I was locked in, man. Like I had to have it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And you retired. You had a full career.
Yeah. 25 years. Yep. 25 long
Retired
years. E8, Master Sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of strategic. I didn't have like a charmed career or anything by any means. But I retired as a team sergeant, and that's the way I planned it. So, and I got almost 4 years of team sergeant time, which is kind of unheard of.
A little bit worth it though, right?
Yeah. That was split up amongst 2 different tours. So I ended up doing company operations sergeant twice, which anything to stay out of like the S shop, the battalion, because you're still down on it's E8 is the last place you're doing the work.
Not quite an office job yet.
No, it's not yet. Right. E8's the last place where you're still on the ground with your team.
Yep.
After that, it's just
administrative and PR and
Behind a desk.
yeah,
or in front of
in
front of a reporter or helping out a general.
Well, it's a lot, the bureaucracy. That's where the bureaucracy starts, even at the group level and battalion level. So I don't want any part of that anyway. So I retired after 25. Happy to do. I don't miss a day of it. I miss all my teammates and that kind of thing, the good times and doing the work. But these days there's a lot of politics in the military, and I'm glad to be over with that.
Again, he anticipates my question. I was about to turn the political corner here because we have today the most politically incorrect show yet. We have a manufacturer of assault weapons and users of assault weapons in this room. And basically, the world's trying to put us all out of business.
Yeah. That's the truth.
Somehow, some way, right? Any reactions? Any thoughts?
Well, by politics, I'm a libertarian. So I believe everybody should own a gun. Even to the extent, I'm going to go a little further. I follow a guy called Armed Felon or something like that. He was a felon and got his rights back through a process, and now he advocates. So even then, I agree that once you paid your dues, you should be able to own firearms.
I don't disagree with that. The felon with a gun has a choice to be a good guy or a bad guy right up to the time he faces up to somebody like Robert here, who's going to convince him otherwise if he makes the wrong choice. And that seems to me to be a very fair way to do things.
Check it out. Everybody has those same choices. It ain't
that's my
a
point.
felon or just any,
That's my point. So why should he?
Exactly.
There's no difference. And so
crime's crime.
Yeah.
No matter what you do. If you pay your dues, you pay
it seems
your
like a
dues.
fair way to administer things. Just like, we all take care.
So yeah,
take care of ourselves where it belongs to begin with.
I'm kind of an absolutist on the Second Amendment.
Sure.
And the First Amendment and all the other amendments.
Well,
but
there's a reason why it was the Second Amendment.
No, that's right. So I'm an absolutist on that. Like, I think everybody should carry a gun every single day.
Amen. I'm all for that.
And how does a manufacturer of assault rifles deal with the idea that they want to ban assault rifles? Right? What are you going to become a government contractor, or do you have other thoughts besides that?
That's one way to do it.
I guess so. If hopefully that day never will come, and if it does, I guess we go back to manufacturing parts for the big boys. Where currently, what's paying the bills and what kickstarted the rifle side are the manufacturer machine shops. We make parts for other companies, and a lot of companies we can't mention because of NDAs and whatnot. But a lot of the big boys in the country we make parts, supply parts for, and that's some of the parts we make were produced. It goes into other parts and other equipments that goes into the consumer markets.
You got into doing some slide work, milling some slides and doing some different things like that. Matter of fact, you did my pistol, which I used the first time I ever even shot it was on your range, and I think I got like 18 expletives thrown at me real quick because of that.
And you have to do full disclosure here because the gun conversation thrives on details. So what pistol is this?
It was a Glock 42.
Glock 42.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was Glock 34. Sorry,
34.
excuse me.
34.
And I'd never used it in a competition before, and Edgar was not happy with the way I would rack the slide after I dropped the mag. And then I had to use a bigger slide slide button. I had to put a bigger slide button in there because my hands are big and I kept missing it, hitting the side. But, Edgar gets his point across, and he's a fantastic, illustrator of what to do wrong. I mean, right. And, he tells me what to do, what I'm doing wrong. And I actually listen to him, and I go home and I practice that. So,
how many times you slap him?
0 times, man. I'm just a direct communicator.
There was a couple of he would push dirt at me, kick dirt at me, and so it was all good stuff, man.
Well, look, if you tell somebody something once, and twice, and all right.
Yeah, that was the day I was breaking
3
down
times.
with
Come on, buddy. That's
Don't
it.
make me repeat myself.
That was when I had when the heat was getting
His
me.
heat stroking out.
Yeah, I was, man. It was bad.
And you said Cam did slide work on it.
Yeah, Cam did the slide work, and the gun is sexy as all get out. It's a good performance.
I
They
think
did
that's
a great job.
That's the first time I've ever heard a Glock and sexy as all get out in the same sentence.
I think it's sexy. I think it looks damn good.
All right.
You know?
It does look good.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Yeah.
If you say
Even
so.
Travis said he wanted to. He's like, man, I'm sold. I'm going to do this.
I think Travis did have his 43X cut.
Yeah.
I mean, but all my Glocks are the guinea pig. So before we cut on like your slides or anybody else's slide, I have a Glock. Like, hey, Ponce, test on mine first.
Yeah.
If you screw up, I don't have to replace somebody else's slide. It's my slide. It's my pistol. So you can screw up mine.
Yeah.
Well, I've been looking for a spot. I got a 34. I want to get an optic cut in. It's an old Gen 3.
You're looking right at the guy.
Just tell us what optic you want to you want to put on there. We'll cut it for you.
Yeah.
I'll get with you on that for sure.
Yeah, definitely do that. And you sponsored his Mogadishu Mile last year with a coupon, I think a $500 or $250 coupon.
Yeah, a Mog Mile.
That's right.
Yep. I think he gave us a couple of significant discounted.
$250 and $500.
Yeah. Those guys, I hope they don't just have them sitting on their bookshelf somewhere.
Well, I
hope
think
they got those rifles.
I'm not sure if they did or not.
I'm not sure. Usually they're either called in or email Misty on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't follow up with that to see if they ended up going to get the rifles, man.
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
That's pretty significant.
That was the number. That to me, that was like
that was
number one.
That was the top prize. Yeah.
Yeah. So our boy,
Yeah. Oh, Scott got that.
Scott got that.
That's right.
And he's the only guy that doesn't really need a gun because he's good.
He always needs
He's a
guns.
SWAT
man.
officer.
He always needs guns.
Yeah, he's a government issued guns.
Yeah.
Now Robert likes to shoot competitions. He's going to all these things and shooting. What do you do? Fight task? No, that's shotgun. IPSC?
Yeah, GADPA and IDPA stuff. And then
so
Edgar
are you the
stuff.
one training him to do this? Is he doing well?
Well, yeah, kind of. I do competition and he shot several of mine. So I do competitions as well. Mm-hmm. They're obviously outlaw competition. They're not sanctioned by any organization.
Sure. Yeah.
But every year, twice a year, we do called the OSS Challenge. So in April, it's a 1 day. And then in October, it's the OSS Challenge Mogadishu Mile. It's a 2 day event to commemorate the Battle of Somalia.
Yeah.
I do themed matches throughout the year, like 4th of July, we do the Sons of Liberty match.
That's when I met you last year.
Yep. And then like Christmas, we do the Baby It's Cold Outside match. It's just, and it might be a 2-gun or a pistol match or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the prizes are small. I just give away training or something like that. Yeah. But the OSS Challenge, both of those, they're sponsored by, we reach out to different people and try to get prizes and stuff. Crate Tactical, they're always there for me. So they, we give away steel targets and stuff. Okay. Salty Britches always sponsors me. I don't know if you know those guys, but they make chafe cream for and they got a SOCOM contract, but for ultra runners and Navy SEAL type, it's good for that kind of stuff. So they always sponsor, and he got us last year. October's coming up, buddy.
Reach out to Misty.
October's coming up, yeah.
Reach out to Misty.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, she pretty much runs the show down there. I mean, she keeps us in line.
Yeah.
Do you do Appleseed or anything like that?
No, I shoot IDPA. Normally in the carry optics. I ain't ranked in IDPA because chasing matches is a full-time job in itself, and I ain't got time to chase matches. But I go out and shoot competition so that people understand that I'm not just some dude.
Right.
I'm out shooting.
Set yourself up as an expert.
Well, I believe I've heard you say, Edgar, that one of the problems that you have with competition shooting is when you've shot for real and you've shot at people that are shooting back at you and you've done tactical work for real, that you just kind of shake your head about all the rules and regulations.
Yeah, well, not really, but there are some like that are significantly
flip falls.
So, like when you got to run with your weapon pointed down range, but you may be running up range.
Yeah.
So but it depends on the game. You play whatever game you're playing. I think competition's important for defensive shooting or offensive if you're a military or SWAT type guy.
Yeah.
Because competition shooting is closer replicates real life engagements than NRA shooting at a bullseye target or whatever.
Bullseye shooting for learning.
Because you're under time and you have to manipulate on the move or whatever, behind cut, whatever it is. Any competition better replicates
doing nothing.
Real engagements than, hey, take your time, breathe, pull the trigger slow. That's just not real stuff.
Right.
They teach it.
No, that's marksmanship. It's not practical shooting.
Right. That's right. It's bullseye marksmanship.
So I believe Santa Claus got you one of those red dot dry fire cartridges.
That's right. Santa got me one. Dry firing is critical.
Yeah. And
with that, you get feedback. If you're just dry firing against the wall, you have to hold yourself accountable. If you got some, and all these little, what was that one called? I forget the name.
Point? Is that aim point?
I forget now. There's that one. I got a system that's called Smokeless Range. And that's a good one because it's automated video, right? And you can set up your own courses of fire, or there's videos of situational things.
So you're moving.
So that's like dry fire on steroids.
Yeah.
It's an airsoft gun, but with a laser. So you get feedback immediately.
I'm in the shotgun world, and they have a thing. It's like those virtual golf courses, where you hit the ball and you can see where,
Yep.
So they put the video of the target flying up there, and when you pull the trigger, it puts a laser up there and records where you were.
Yep. Whether
it's a hit or a miss or whatever.
Yep.
It's an interesting thing.
Yep.
Now, Randy, you are a pretty well-to-do shotgun shooter champion. What did you win?
Well-to-do implies greater wealth than I possess.
Okay.
Because I spent it all on shotguns.
He's an accomplished
all those Benelli
shooter.
Well, look, man, those shotguns, there's some like $25,000 shotguns floating around.
The Benellis and some of those.
One of my friends who lives back here by my house just got one up for sale right now. He's looking for $65 on, and it's not even a well-known brand. I mean, shotguns can get silly expensive.
Insane.
Yeah. Gary, my friend, is a former U.S. team shooter, and we go out on the weekends. We do all our training, and he brings a $75,000 Boss hammer gun every weekend. Yep. Shoots it for practice. Hammer gun, built in 1882.
I don't even drive a $75,000 car. Right?
It looks beautiful. It looks brand new. Yeah. But listen, the shotgun world is crazy.
I know.
It's crazy. I will say, at one of the events I went to, they had a 4-bore rifle on a table, leather case, big African, an elephant gun.
Yeah.
It shoots a solid slug about that big around. Looks like a super, like a 4-gauge shotgun, but it's a rifle. And the engraving on this thing was so fine that it looked like they'd printed a photo onto the receiver. Right. And, so I was like, can I look? He's like, yeah, do whatever you want, so I played with it a little bit, and it was nice. I put it back on the table, and I was like, what's the price on this? He says, our ask on this is $250. Laying on a table under a tent at a competition.
Madness.
Yeah. But it sure was nice to look at.
Hey, man.
And that's not 250. That's 250,000.
Yeah, 250K.
That's right. 250K.
So where did you learn to shoot shotguns? You're in the Navy.
My dad was an upland hunter when I was growing up. So we did a lot of dove hunting, and I got to go on occasional pheasant or quail or whatever like that. And then, in the Navy, because I was very familiar with the 12 gauge pump shotgun, that was my weapon of choice for board and search and stuff like that. And, so post Navy, after the Navy, I discovered skeet and then later sporting clays. And that was just so much fun. I just stuck with it and kept working and got a little coaching here and there and practiced and put 10,000 rounds a year down when I started competing, right? 10,000 rounds down the barrel every year, because that's what you got to do. And, so that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And my own personal weirdness is I really like the side-by-side shotgun. So when I compete with an old W.C. Scott London gun from 1882. And it's a side-by-side, but it works just like the rest.
National champion? Were you a national champion?
So what you're referring to in 19, I went to the Vintage Cup and won the world side-by-side 10-gauge hammer division.
Wow.
I'm a warthog. I like the big
10
stuff.
gauge.
Yeah, I like artillery. Should have been in the Army. although the Army's guns aren't as big as the Navy's guns, so I don't know why I would say that.
Not even close.
So shotguns in the gun world, in my view, is like golf in the sports world.
Yeah.
That's where the luxury is at.
So are golfers athletes, Edgar?
Of course they are.
Yeah.
So I have
shooters.
So I have to redeem myself for Edgar now. I also took the Colt course and got qualified as an armor. So I built my own AR and my own 1911s.
There you go. Very good.
They're pretty neat guns.
So when you need somebody, this guy can
they're pretty neat guns. They work as designed.
start a shotgun division.
But so this leads to an interesting question then. Because being in the shotgun world, this is sport shooting, right? It's like you say, this is golf, and there's a division there's a group of guys in these competitions that, like, because they use side by sides instead of modern guns, and they'll dress, they put the tie on, little British caps on, and they have a good time with it, right?
Yep.
So this is not what you'd call practical shooting, right?
No, right. Yeah.
It's fun. It's heritage gunning.
Yep.
So if I wanted to do some practical shooting type competitions like you guys do, I guess I could come to you and get some training and like really learn how to utilize the AR or the pistol in a tactical environment, right?
Right. Yeah,
There's nothing tactical about sporting clays.
Nope. There's nothing tactical about practical shooting either.
Yeah.
Tactical is an application.
Right.
Shooting is shooting. So, yeah, of course, I do private sessions. I do women's only courses. I do youth courses. I do, and then kind of the catalog is practical pistol, or rifle, dynamic pistol, dynamic rifle, dynamic 2-gun. Then I got like an everyday carry course that it's pistol, obviously, but it's focused on concealability and environment kind of stuff. What else I got? A million of them. I don't even know my own catalog.
But so the bottom line is there's lots of training available for you.
Yeah, tons of it. And I'm happy. And in fact, I like doing like custom courses for different groups. Sometimes I have groups. Speaking of Salty Britches, they came down once. A bunch of ladies came down and they wanted to, it was a fun week. They did like an Airbnb. They went out in North Georgia hiking and they went shopping and then they wanted to do a day of shooting. Mm. So obviously I was a little less, what's the word I'm looking for? Abrasive.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were nice to the kids
right.
and the women.
So they had fun and we
weren't
did
kicking
everything
dirt
nice
at them.
Right. I didn't kick dirt at them. It was so, so I paired it to their skill set and they got a lot out of it. It wasn't just a bullcrap day to go put rounds down range. They learned. Right.
Yeah.
But they learned at a
they can do that anywhere.
At
right?
a pace.
Now, what do you do, Edgar, for those folks who don't own firearms, rifles or pistols? Do you provide them?
Yeah, of course. I got a little arsenal of Glock 19s and real basic AR-15s. Because I do have a lot of people that are looking somewhere to learn.
Yeah.
But they're nervous about buying a gun because they don't know what to look for or whatever. So they come out, get the loud noises and everything out of the way, understand that it's not a death machine, depending on what you're using it for.
Yeah.
And then, So, and I also, man, I have tons of customers. Hey, Edgar, can you go to the gun shop with me? I'm going to go buy a gun. And I'm happy to go.
Well, maybe you could have some test Lanxang Light 42s lying around.
I would love to do that.
Here we are making deals, making connections today.
That's what I do.
I would love to do that.
Because if those people shoot Cam's guns, they're going to shoot better. They're going to like the way it feels.
They're going to love it. Yeah.
I'm serious. You think I'm joking, but it's the truth.
Well, I'm going to name the name of the rifles that I have, but there was an emerging deal with them
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So
Okay.
I'm not beholden to
So the door is open.
any brand.
Cam, the door is open.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll have.
And they weren't local either. I'm a big local dude. I like to buy local, support local, et cetera, et cetera.
Feed the community.
So I'd far rather work with a local company than a Texas company or
Sure.
In our shotgun world, we are very serious about introducing people the right way, right? Because the more fun they have and the better they do up front.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Right. And I'm no trainer, right? I mean, I have Navy training background, but I'm not a coach. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I will always, somebody wants to shoot, I'll take them to the range. I'll always front them the first day, first range feed and the ammo, and start them off the right way, make sure they're hitting targets and having a good time and learning how to use the weapon properly, right? And so in a training environment, you want to be sure to do that. Have them start on good gear, right?
Yeah,
not on some Sears and Roebuck gun, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's very important how you get the new shooters their first experience.
Because otherwise it's intimidating, loud, and annoying, and they go home unhappy and sweaty. And
that's
because
exactly
my goal is to grow the community, whether they want a competition or whatever. And it doesn't matter.
And in our world, we're very intent on getting women involved, because with the women come their boyfriends, their husbands, and their kids. In the shotgun world, people really are looking at it like women are the growth of the sport.
And that is over the past, 5 years or so, women have been the fastest growing demographic.
This is our politically correct segment of this show.
But
it's the truth.
I'm a licensed instructor, NRA instructor, pistol and rifle. And whenever I've done any courses or assisted with any courses, at least 50% of those classes are women. And so when you ask the question, why are you here? A lot of it is, I live by myself, or I live in a city and I'm scared and I want to know how to defend myself against people like, bigger predator types of folks. Women, if you can get to that block, that's going to be real important.
Yep. No, it's very important. And with that, everybody has different learning styles, not just men and women, but individually. People learn differently. So if you do the same thing over and over, some people get it, some people don't. So I kind of mix up my training style as well. Sometimes there's a heavy classroom portion. Sometimes there's a lot of hands-on in the classroom and then sometimes it's jump right into the range and start doing things. So there's different. Now I'm by no means an academic, but I've taken a couple of courses and I think I understand how to train as an instructor, how to be an instructor and effectively deliver.
Of all the people that I've trained with, Edgar, you go further into depth. I mean, you're right there on the left or the right, and you are constantly giving the student feedback, immediate feedback, and usually it's positive. I'm just kidding. He doesn't get all the time.
Well, Robert's not the only, that's your reputation in the market too. He's not the only person I've heard that from. So
Sweet. Well, it's like Lanxang rifles, You want the best shooting rifle? And I've sold some of your rifles to some of my friends. And, you pull the trigger, it goes bang, and it hits what it's going to hit.
Yeah.
So, Cam, I don't want to get away from this session without you explaining the red elephant on your hat. I love this story.
All right. Lanxang. In Laos, it means 1 million elephants. For centuries, Laos was known as the land of the million elephants. And when I applied for the FFL license, I was got caught off guard at the ATF agents. So we're wrapping up your interview. What are you calling your company? I was like, damn, I never thought about that far. I was trying to get a license first. So first thing that popped in my head was like, Lanxang Tactical sounds pretty good to me. And, Lanxang is like I say, is the land of million elephants. For centuries, it was, that's what Laos was known as, and until, of course, the country fell to communism, and when the communists took over, if you go back to pre-1960, the Laos flag is a 3-headed elephant. Not this, whatever, blue, red, and white with the moon in the center. I mean, that's just a communist thing.
Yeah.
A lot of us, not to get political, but a lot of us don't recognize that flag. We're still recognize the other three-headed elephant as the national flag of Laos. So if I was to go in there, if I was to go back to Laos today and start, saying Lanxang this, Lanxang that, chances are I'll get my ass kicked or jail or
Wow.
Because it's referring to the old.
Yeah.
Yes, the old regime, I guess.
Yeah, the old regime.
I love the hat. I'm a hat guy. You see all the hats in the studio that's from businesses around Cherokee County. I love your hat.
Well, I'll have to bring you one or mail you one.
All right, man. I'll wear it. I'll hang it in the studio. It looks great.
It does.
The logo's sweet. So I appreciate the art. I do all my own art and all my own logos and all that. And that's a
good one.
That's a cool logo.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And there's a story behind it.
Yep.
Now, in the guitar world, they have an amplifier called Bad Cat. And the Bad Cats, when you turn them on and the lights come on the control panel, the two eyes on the cat light up too. That's kind of cool. There's an idea for you.
I think I've seen that in some of you did a video. I don't know who did it.
I think Travis had it done. Yeah, we added the green eye just because Travis was like, well, the night vision screen. We'll just make the eye screen.
Yeah.
And actually, I think you do know who did that video.
Did you do the video, or did Michael do it?
Michael did that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Nice. Yeah, it's a cool logo.
Yeah, when I applied for the trademark on the logo, you guys never guess who challenged it.
Who?
It's probably an attorney on payroll that probably just like, hey, you know what? I need to earn my paycheck for this year, and let me challenge this trademark. It was the attorney for the Oakland A's.
Oh, what?
Yeah, you would think based on the way that my logo looked, you would think University of Alabama would be the first one to pop in your head, right? No, it was the Oakland A's.
Which makes no sense.
There's probably a backstory. There's probably a connection somehow.
Back in the
getting paid
20s,
communist Chinese money in the back.
Tonight
they're from California.
Yeah, there you go.
My schedule for tonight is Moneyball. I was going to watch Moneyball tonight. It's about the Oakland A's.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the guy just, the attorney calls like, you got one company that's challenging your logo to be trademarked.
And the challenge was based on what?
Back in the 20s and 30s, Oakland A's had a cartoonish elephant standing on a baseball, holding a baseball bat on his trunk.
That 70 years ago.
Yeah, and based on their petitions that we're not allowed to use an elephant as our company logo. And here I am on the internet Googling. There's about 500 companies with elephants as their logo.
I don't think Oakland has the.
I don't think that's going to survive. I don't think the challenge will survive on that.
Never seen an elephant in Oakland.
Well, so we went back and forth a few times, and so I was like, well, 1 million elephants. My country's been known there for centuries, thousands of years prior to the Oakland A's ever come to existence. It's like my country's been known for the elephants before the colonies moved.
Before California existed.
Yeah. So I should have some leeway here. So after a few months of back and forth, it's like, well, if you sign off on this, that you will not get into Major League Sports. Okay. Yeah. So all this just cost me $12,000, but okay.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice hat. It's a great logo.
Apparently, that guy generated some billings, from the A's, and made it all work. He made some money. So
absolutely,
that's his job, right?
Man, unreal.
Well, we've had a good time with you guys, and it's great that y'all came out and spent half a day here with us, and would love to give Lanxang, all the props for my shooting abilities, that's for sure. And then get some of your rifles out there to Edgar.
Such as they are.
Such as they are. And we certainly appreciate you guys coming, and y'all have done
thanks for having us.
Bunch of stuff for me, that's for dang sure.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Any parting thoughts for the world on assault rifles or firearms training or anything else?
There's no such thing as assault rifle.
That's right. It's a made-up word.
Everything could be an assault.
Yeah, assault hammer.
Yeah.
Assault pen.
It could be an assault phone if I hit you with it.
Yeah.
There you go. Can't disagree with that.
Just want to plug my Osprey Shooting Solutions.com. Check my website out. And also Southern Ornithological League, the URL there is twoteamguys.com. That's with the number 2. Once again, that is mostly private, but there's some public pages you can look at to get a taste. So check those out if you're interested in some unique training.
Okay. And how do they find Lanxang if they're interested in you guys?
Facebook, Instagram, Lanxang Tactical.
Spell it.
Lanxang.
There we go. Now they can find you.
Lanxang, not Lanxang.
I'm going to have to change it. I'm going to have to practice that.
Lanxang.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I did that wrong.
if any other questions,
welcome to the South.
Just give Misty at the shop a call, and she'll be gladly help you everybody out.
And if you think Cam's tough, Misty's tougher.
She is.
Yeah.
She is. And so is Nick, and so is Travis.
Yeah, Travis, all those guys.
Yeah, and then, of course, I forgot about Ryan, so I got the Ryan English name in there, before he calls me up and get mad. Didn't throw his name in
I was
there.
listening. You didn't even say my name.
So Ryan is a former scout sniper, and of course he does a lot of stuff for us. So.
He's a Marine Corps, so man, we've got it all covered here.
Yeah. Well, look, outside the Navy, the military they're still honorable careers. Thanks for coming in, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
Great conversation.
Appreciate it. Thank you.